So, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Sharon Whiteman, and we acknowledge and thank you for being here. This is an opportunity for the Australian Lyme and associated disease patients that has been a long-held dream of the Lyme Disease Association of Australia. We deeply thank Dobrusia for helping us bring this dream into fruition, and we'd like to offer you a short summary of Dobrusia's background. Before I do that, though, we do have a disclaimer that we have to legally provide you. Health education during these sessions is provided for information and educational purposes only. It does not necessarily represent endorsement by the Lyme Disease Association of Australia or its board. We recommend you consult with your primary medical practitioner to inform all of your health choices. Now, Dobrusia Szramowiak is a qualified naturopath and lymph and organ drainage practitioner. She's passionate about helping people with chronic and complex health issues. She began her professional career as a chemical engineer, and after 12 years of working with chemicals, her health collapsed from toxic overload. This collapse brought up her previously dormant Lyme disease she contracted in Poland as a child, and in addition to this, she developed sensitivity to mold, chemicals, and MCAS. Due to lack of awareness and understanding amongst medical practitioners in Australia, she spent over 10 years searching for answers and effective ways to heal. Dobrusia deeply understands the suffering, frustration, and helplessness associated with this process. We are so grateful that she would now like to offer her support to those who suffer from Lyme and other complex conditions by empowering them with knowledge and hope through these monthly sessions, Ask the Naturopath. Dobrusia, thank you so very much.
Thank you so much, Sharon. Thank you for this wonderful introduction and outlining my story. I have to say, thank you for your dedication to supporting Lyme patients. You have been truly inspirational to me for many years, and I feel really honored. I finally in a health position so where I can join you guys and together we can make a change. So hello everyone, welcome and thank you for joining me in joining us in this session. So we all been through this journey. We all have a story that has shaped our life. There's lots of suffering, but there is also good things like compassion and desire to help and different senses and a change in life that could be positive. Now, healing from Lyme needs lots of physical strength, but more it needs mental strength. So supporting each other, support is critical here. And we not always have this support. Some of us are by ourselves on our own, or our loved ones simply sometimes need a break from our suffering. So my vision for these sessions is to empower you, motivate you, and support you in recovery from Lyme disease. But my vision is also to create a community that can motivate and support each other. So I invite each one of you to do so. So please join if you already have an existing community that Sharon is holding every Tuesday. Is it every Tuesday? Lunch Lymies. So you're not alone in this process, because being alone, loneliness, it's #1 cause of mortality. It's more than smoking, more than drinking. We need to support each other in this process. As Sharon said, I will be holding these sessions on a monthly basis, and the plan is to start from talking about subject that is related to recovery from Lyme. I do have some agenda, however, it's flexible and depending of people's needs. Who is this session for? It's obviously for Lyme sufferers, for their carers, and for anyone who is interested in learning about Lyme disease. So today I will be talking about the need of holistic approach to healing Lyme disease. And why do we need a holistic approach? I'm just going to double check if everyone can hear me. Is my microphone okay? Yep. Okay, great. So why do we need holistic approach? Why do we need to consider whole body in a healing process rather than just antibiotic? Lyme, it's a systemic disease, so that's mean it affects entire body. Lyme bacteria is intracellular persistent pathogen, so that's mean it lives inside our cells. It changes form from one to another. It creates survival mechanisms. It confuses immune system, and it creates a huge havoc, so immune system doesn't recognize it anymore. It also hides and residues in our weakest parts of the body, so those parts that have been compromised through injuries, scars, through some genetic predisposition. It also creates array of downstream problems. So with persistent Lyme, chronic Lyme that lasts for more than 3 months, we have lots of consequences because bacterial destructive activity. So lowered immune system, opportunistic pathogens, other pathogens like viruses, parasites, toxic burden. We develop susceptibility to things that we never were bothered by, like mold, chemicals, lots of hormonal dysregulations, coagulation issues, detoxification issues, and also emotional trauma because of the severity of the illness. So with that many problems, we really need many solutions, many strategies, and we absolutely have to treat entire body because otherwise there will be a resistance to healing. There will be an obstacles to heal. Everything gets depleted and weak and needs that together approach. Now, Sharon, am I able to share my diagram?
You are. So just go down to the bottom, there's share screen, and then it'll let at the bottom of your screen, it should say there's a little arrow beside it. If you click on that.
Yeah. Hey. Great. Can everyone see this? Is it working?
Yes, it is.
Excellent. Okay. So, so I've made here a diagram that outlines the steps that I use in the clinic to heal, to help patients with chronic healing from chronic Lyme disease. And every person has an individual journey, but this is just a general guide. And no matter what, I always start with detoxification. And detoxification, it's a huge subject, and I will be talking about detoxification in next sessions in details. Now, why do we need to detox? Well, we need to reduce body from the burden of Lyme disease. That will prevent from Herx reaction, increase body strength to handle antimicrobial treatment. Detoxification itself, when it's done in the wrong order, it can create lots of nasty symptoms. So people often think, oh, I will detox and I will be clean and I will feel so fantastic. But they don't understand there is a right order to detox, where we first need to open up elimination pathways, reduce toxic input, and then start dragging toxins from inside the cells. Often detoxification programs that are designed for healthy people, they drag the toxins outside the cells very rapidly, and that causes huge overload for sick patients, like for people who dealt with chronic infections or chronic diseases. So it all have to be done in a very specific manners. I myself made myself sick so many times. I was living in a mode and I had idea I would just improve my detoxification pathways and I will detox my liver, and I was in the mode. So I was pushing my toxins from the body outside, from the cells, while I was exposed from the toxins. So I had a double slap and I made myself so sick so many times until I finally learned, if you in toxic environment, best not to do any additional detox, just bind. But as I said, I will be talking about detoxification in the next session. Now, nutrition is next on my list. So with chronic illness or pathogenic illness, there is just so much depletion because the body is constantly dealing with fighting of pathogens. So many nutrients that are involved in this process are low. They constantly used on 3 times, 5 times more amounts than in other people. So they will be very depleted. Now, there is also lots of oxidative stress created by illness. So we need lots of antioxidants to counteract this process. Otherwise, there will be DNA damage. There will be weakening of the mitochondrial function, consequently low energy levels and not enough energy to heal. Also, because of Lyme, people tend to have very inflamed digestive system. So whatever we eat, if we eat, some people are not able to eat, it's not absorbed, it's poorly absorbed, it's not broken down. So that nutritional replenishment is very important to build the strength. Then I would focus on immunity. So obviously making sure there is more army to fight off the pathogenic cells, and also balancing immune. There are a few different immunity divisions, and when there is a crazy pathogen like Lyme, they all go. They all can become dysregulated. So one division is overactive, another is underactive. As a consequences, we have hypersensitivity, hyperreactivity, allergies, or getting sick from everything around us. And that needs to be balanced. And at this stage, I would also, together with nutrition, focus on repairing gut, because in digestive system, we have about 70% of immunity. So building and healing and sealing digestive system, it's important as well for balancing immune function. Now, next stage is inflammation, and that's another huge subject. Interestingly, all the symptoms that we experience when we have Lyme, they don't come from pathogen directly. They actually come from a immunity response to pathogen. So when immunity reacts to pathogen, it brings all those biochemicals, we call them chemotoxins, inflammatory cytokines. And they create pain, they create redness, they create the leakiness of the vessels. So if we can calm down inflammation, there will be basically less symptoms. We will feel better. We're still not addressing the cause, but we will feel better. And often in prolonged illness, body gets stuck on this chronic inflammatory state. So inflammation that never switch itself off. And that's a perpetuating cycle. So if we can calm down this inflammation, there will be less symptoms. We will feel better. Then finally, after all these stages, I will start looking at introducing antimicrobials or antibiotics to reduce pathogen load. And I love to use herbs because they more gentle and they're able to tick all the boxes. So one herb can have anti-inflammatory, nutritive, immune-regulating, and anti-pathogenic action. So we all love ticking all the boxes, so do I, and herbs can definitely do it. Some people need a combination of antibiotic and herbs, and that works really, really well in combination. Sometimes antibiotic can cause some side effects. However, if antibiotic is working on helping getting rid of Lyme, naturopathically, we can reduce side effects, counteract side effects, and it's still much better benefit to have antibiotic on board that helps to get rid of infection. My ideal combination again, look, I don't have ideal combination. Ideal combination is to see that someone is getting better. If it's just antibiotic that it's helping, and naturopathy cover all the other areas of health, that's fantastic. If it's just herb or if it's combination, whatever it's getting you out of this disease. Now, I have here emotional healing, emotional component of disease as a last part of the process, but it's definitely not a last part. It is just listed as a last component. It should be done at the same time as healing everything else. We all have lots of, well, we could, not all of us, but people often, I see in the practice, people often have conscious or subconscious emotional blockages to heal. And that prevents to progress from disease. We often have a trauma because of dealing with this process, and that needs also support. Nervous system needs calming down, and there is a need for mindfulness, acceptance, and laughter to counterbalance the burden this condition puts on us, and also supporting each other. Yeah, so as you see, as you know, definitely as you know, healing Lyme, it's not a straightforward process. It requires involvement of many systems and many different stages. And I haven't listed even 1/5 of the tools or of the stages or therapies I use in my clinic. I'm constantly searching for new ways of healing, and everyone responds to different things. So I'm constantly learning and improving my skills. I definitely don't recommend doing this process yourself. It is a crazy roller coaster ride. It took me so many years to learn how my own body responds, only because I couldn't find a practitioner who could understand what's going on. Because if someone doesn't understand Lyme, then they won't be able to help you. That's what I've learned. No matter how experienced they call themselves, someone needs to be experienced in dealing with this particular illness. So yes, that's all from the educational part, and I'm now open to your questions.
Awesome. Well, so far, nobody has sent a question to me, but I'm excited to learn this, to be honest. Dobrusia, thank you for laying that out. But one of the first questions, because you started in the first place first, that come to mind for me is, if someone wanted to start at that first step because they hadn't really had naturopathic support so far, what binder would you recommend? Explain that. I know you're going to go into this more depth, but what does that mean, a binder, and what do you recommend in that range?
Yeah, definitely, definitely. So we have lots of different binders that each binder, what binder is, let me start from explaining that. So when we're dealing with toxins in the body, the toxins move from lymphatic system to cardiovascular system, and then through the liver, gallbladder to digestive system. In digestive system, if they not bind, so if they not attach to something that can drag that toxin out so we can excrete it through bowel movement, it will get reabsorbed to systemic circulation and will recreate all the symptoms. That's why binder, it's a really good place to start. Now, every substance, every toxin, and that's where my chemical knowledge comes in handy, every toxin binds to different binder, yeah? Different affinity to, they all have different affinities. So most toxins, they really love things like charcoal, zeolite. There is a cholestyramine, which is a synthetic binder. Heavy metals, they like them too, but they prefer things like apopectin, modified citrus pectin, zeolite as well. Now, toxins that are produced through breakdown of pathogens, they called lipopolysaccharides. We call them LPS because it's a very fancy name. And they, in turn, they bind a little bit differently. I often use herbs to bind them down. They have to be a little bit more neutralized than bind. However, charcoal in small amounts does the job. And modified citrus pectin will also do a job really well. Now, how would I start with binders? Problem with binders is they're really constipating. They could be constipating. For someone who is prone to constipation, or someone who doesn't move too much, or everything is out of whack, chances they get constipated are really high. And by all means, you would want to avoid constipation. So start binders in very, very small, tiny doses, and just monitor your bowel movement. If it's too dry, too hard to pass, back off. But before going into charcoal is the cheapest way. You often can get container of charcoal for $20 or so and can really last you for half year. So it's a win here, but again, you have to really, really observe your body to not get yourself into trouble. But how I would start, regardless, is from food-based binders. So-called soluble fibers, and things like chia seeds and ground flax seeds. They are just fabulous binders. So having that, say, for example, teaspoon a day, that will start removing excess of toxins or bind the toxins from the body.
Awesome. And is there any contraindications for anyone with those choices? Would you warn any particular situations away from one or the other of those binders?
Sorry, you just break down at the beginning of questions, so could you repeat?
Is there any warnings that is there some people that shouldn't take one of those binders, or they should prefer one over another?
Mm-hmm. It's really difficult to answer this question because there will be very individual cases. Generally, binders are good, well tolerated, but constipation, it's #1 issue with them. Now, cholestyramine, which is synthetic binder used for mold removal, often has some additives. So if people have sensitivities to fillers, amines, and general food sensitivities, they will react to this binder. Now, in some cases of extreme toxicity, body can binders can pull out too many toxins into digestive system, and that will recreate the symptoms. So it will basically cause flare-ups. So with everything that we do with chronic illness, gently and observing itself. If someone is self-navigating treatment, always one thing at the time. Never start two things. Just don't do this to yourself, because you won't know. Fingers crossed both will work and you'll feel fantastic, but there are high chances before you feel fantastic, body will remove some toxin, or there will be some change and will throw you out of balance. And it's difficult to know what is working and what is causing what.
Awesome. We have 4 more questions. So the next one is, and along the same line, thinking about detoxing, how would you recommend people to avoid continual exposure to these toxins? What would be the kind of things that you'd want to avoid in the environment, like maybe, air fresheners or essential oils or anything else on that list that you would add?
Yeah, that's a really great question. I can't say number one, but definitely reducing your toxic exposure at home. That's a great place to start. So good healthy home doesn't smell like anything. So you shouldn't be smelling any perfumes, any air fresheners, anything abnormal, good or bad smell. There shouldn't be any smell in healthy home. So even people with multiple chemical sensitivities, they might react to essential oils. If you find yourself smelling essential oil and feeling a bit headachy, agitated, just fidgety and unwell, your detoxification pathways are most likely not liking an additional chemical, even though it's therapeutic, it's too much for the system. But going back to a question, I would get rid of all smells, so all the air fresheners, replace all of the detergents, especially washing powders, because imagine that you wash something in a washing powder and then you can smell it until the next wash, and then it's on your skin, it's sitting, and body, it's absorbing all those chemicals. So it's a really high amount of exposure and constant contact. So get rid of those, replace with something clean. Your dishwashing detergent as well. Eliminate, replace with something chemically free. And then something worth mentioning is this organic and chemical-free market has taken over the world now, but the amount of crappy products are produced and claims are made, it's just ridiculous. So there are healthy products and healthy products. Some good brands. So basically what I'm saying is there might be something written, it's chemical free, this free and that free, and then if you look at the label, it's not free, it's full of still chemicals. So Australian market, it's not very well regulated. It's best to have a list of few brands that are safe. From top of my head, there is this I think it's eco something. It's like a really plain containers. It smells like nothing. So they do a whole range of chemicals, household chemicals. What else? It's good to reduce. Well, obviously mold exposure, it's a huge one. But that's a subject for 3 hours discussion.
3 sessions, yeah, on mold.
Yeah,
okay, we'll book that in.
Yeah. Definitely. However, if you find mold in your house after this session, please don't go with a cloth and try to scrub it off, because if you try to remove mold, it gets aggravated, it gets angry, and it expels all these mycotoxins that inflame us. So leave it there, and it's best to get someone else to deal it in very gentle manner, wet cloth with a vinegar. So if you have any perfumes, any underarm deodorants, any makeup that is commercial brand, best to replace it. What else comes to my mind? And things like city. that's why I moved myself away from the city, to be able to breathe fresh air. But obviously in the city it's a bit harder to avoid. However, things like air purifiers in your bedrooms, that's a huge that's fabulous investment. Or going for a walk in nature, it brings that new oxygen and helps your body to eliminate pollution and toxins.
That gives people a great place to start, Dobrusia. Great. Next question is, what are the most prevalent nutritional deficiencies that you see with Lyme?
Yeah. I think zinc, it's a huge one. I've seen some patients. Normal zinc level is from 12, that's low, to 18 on the blood test. I had some Lyme patient whose zinc was 2. So you can imagine with the zinc, zinc is hugely important to production of white blood cells that deal with Lyme. And without zinc, it's hard to repair, hard to combat infections. So zinc, it's critical. Then vitamin C, definitely reused for antioxidants, same as vitamin E. Magnesium, it's a big one. Lyme loves to basically Lyme uses magnesium for its own metabolism. Also, magnesium, it's used for constant muscle stiffness and contraction. So that runs low as well. Antioxidants, selenium, that will be often low. Vitamin Bs, yeah, that would be the major ones. It's good to not to throw everything at once, because that can create also healing crisis or might not be tolerated. With minerals like magnesium and zinc, it's best to separate that, one in the morning, one at night, so they don't compete for absorption. If I was going to remineralize someone, I would start from very bioavailable gentle minerals like fulvic acid or humic acid. It's a mixture of earth-derived minerals and very well tolerated and has other benefits as well.
Awesome. And we've got one very committed Facebook friend, and the best bad bug killer, please. So what can he use to kill some of those bad bugs that he's got going on?
Which ones?
He's got a bit of everything. This guy's quite, he's 30 years plus. And that's another question, because the next question after this is it possible to heal after 30 years of illness?
Absolutely, everyone can heal. That's what experts of Lyme disease believe. So do I. I've seen people heal. I've seen people get better. I've got better. I was in critical situation, but I have gone better. So I believe healing is possible. Now, in terms of the bad bugs, so hard for me to answer. What are we talking about? Antibiotics or herbs? We need to know which bug. There are strong herbs that have broad antimicrobial action. Again, those herbs can make people unwell before they start working towards healing. So yes, it really needs to be. All right, maybe I will start from, maybe I will mention few herbs that could be safely self-used at home. Things like, for example, garlic and oregano. That could reduce antimicrobial load quite well. Again, as I said, one thing at a time, and really, really careful with using the smaller the better. Smaller quantities, the better.
And
But
would they
again,
just use food source ones or buy a supplement?
Supplement is good. Food source, it's helpful. You usually tend to react less to food sources, although lots of people with Lyme disease, they have small intestinal overgrowth, SIBO. So garlic and onion, they tend to react to garlic and onion. It is very difficult for me to say herbs for or what kills the bugs, because each bug is different, and I would definitely say killing bug, it's almost at the last of your list. You need to make your body stronger, cleaner, so it can handle this one single herb that, or one single antibiotic that you would start to use.
Awesome. Next one is explaining about biofilms and what you recommend. What are they and what do you recommend to support them?
Yeah, biofilms are nasty ones. And I was experimenting last week on myself. I was feeling quite great with my health progress. So I decided to throw in one biofilm buster that American experts really like to use for Lyme disease. So they like this seropeptase and nattokinase, and the third one, lubokinase, or whatever name it is. And I did react really strongly. So what biofilm is, if you can picture this slimy thing at the bottom of or at the top of the stones in the creek, sometimes walking, and it's all slimy. That's little bacteria and little organisms. They creating that slimy, sticky substance to protect themselves from water or from some external environment, to live together in colonies and support each other. Same happens inside our bodies. So when we have pathogens, they just so clever. I've stopped underestimating pathogens because they found all these ways to survive in our body without causing too much harm. So with pathogens, they want their host to be alive. With mold, they want decompose us. They want to eat. Mold wants to eat us alive, and pathogens, they want us to be alive. You know, they will still take the hell out of us, but we'll be still alive with pathogens. So biofilm is that protection that bacteria, parasites, viruses create around each other, and it protects them from immune cells, from antimicrobials, protects them from destruction. Now, there are two types of biofilms. Biofilm phase 1, so it's like a newer biofilm, and biofilm phase 2, so it's a stronger one and it's just tougher. It's usually everyone with persistent infection, they have the biofilm phase 2. So we need a stronger guns to go there and open it up. And then bear in mind, when you open up this biofilm, it's like a Pandora box. The pathogens just release themselves and create a new array of symptoms. So don't jump into biofilms too quickly, because it usually creates lots of undesired side effects, surprises.
Awesome. And what can you do at home safely? I know you said that wasn't the first step. Some of these people might have been through some steps.
Really breaking down, Sharon.
Did I freeze? Yeah, sorry.
Yes.
We've got a storm hitting here too. So what's the best antimicrobials? No, sorry, that's not what I said. Oh, detox methods. Sorry, I got lost in the questions here. We've got quite a few right now. Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Okay. So what are the best detox methods that someone could safely do at home? I know you said that's not the first step. You need to do other steps first, but somebody might be further along that pathway.
Mm-hmm. So depending where they are and also what they detoxing. So if there is lots of, with healing from Lyme, it's good to get your story together. What was my health like before getting Lyme disease? What were the issue with? Is there issues with toxicity? So I just give example on my own case. I had a really heavy metal and lots of heavy metals and organic solvents, all the chemical exposure. So for me, main thing to detox from will be focusing on detoxing heavy metals. If someone had chronic kidney issues, they would have to strengthen and focus on detoxing kidneys. Yeah. There are some general detox recommendations. I would like to go through them on next session. My favorite would be, for example, Epsom salt baths. It ticks many boxes. So I like to mix 1 kilo of magnesium with some bicarb soda and a little bit of vitamin C. Vitamin C, it's important if your water comes from other source than tank because it neutralizes chlorine in the water. Bicarb is for alkalizing environment, which is really beneficial for drawing the toxins, pulling some toxins out. Sulfur in magnesium pulls the toxins out, and magnesium, you get the magnesium deficiency looked after through transdermal magnesium. So Epsom salt bath, if you can do it every day, and then also the heat component that gets the pathogens out and helps your blood moving, helps the circulation. So if you can do, for example, dry skin brushing before hopping into magnesium bath on daily basis, you'll be doing really, really great. That would be a really great start.
Awesome. And some, the side effects and the symptoms of Lyme are so diverse and individual. What if someone's experiencing quite severe halitosis? Is there any kind of cause and treatment or approach that you would take?
So with halitosis and with every symptom, we always naturopathically try to find the cause. There is few possible causes of halitosis. It could be, let's start from the top. So sinus infection, which happens a lot for people affected by mold and Lyme, because there is a deficiency, immune deficiency, and creates this fungal bacterial overgrowth in sinuses that gives a bad breath and postnasal drip. So if you have bad breath and postnasal drip, you're almost certain that sinus needs a treatment. Indigestion itself, so problem with stomach, upper digestive system, regurgitation, that can give halitosis, and then we treat that by improving motility of the gut. Liver, that's often a cause of halitosis. So if there's any dull pain or any signs of liver, which almost everyone with Lyme would have compromised liver function, then we support liver with some gentle herbal or nutritional therapies, or even castor oil pack on top of liver to gently restore organ function and cleanse it.
Awesome. Awesome. And if someone has a tick bite and, they could be on antibiotics, is there any or not? Is there any antimicrobials, herbal antimicrobials that might help prevent them from becoming chronically infected?
Are they already on antibiotics and they have tick bite on top of that?
They didn't say, but let's say if either way.
Yeah, so if you're not taking any antibiotics and you all of a sudden have tick bite, I would do, and if there is no symptoms, then and your immune system is strong and you feel confident, you'll be all right, which most people don't even pay attention to tick bites, then if you don't have any symptoms within 2 weeks, then your most likely immune system has dealt with that. However, if you would like to take herbs preventatively rather than taking antibiotics each time you have tick bite, then there are definitely stronger herbs that that are antimicrobial and will suppress, improve the antimicrobial and immune enhancing herbs in a mix. That's what I will usually give people. And they will deal with any circulating infection before it gets into all different forms and become chronic.
Okay. And if someone had a tick bite and had a bullseye rash, like an EM rash, and they couldn't get access to antibiotics, what would you recommend?
Herbs, definitely herbs. So a mix of herbs that are antimicrobial and immune enhancing. Now it is, you would need to find a naturopath for getting those herbs ready for you. Usually every naturopath has some general knowledge. So in Victoria, for example, there are places like Terra Madre in Northcote. They have naturopathic dispensary, and you can just go there saying, had a tick bite, can you give me herbs for that? Usually every naturopath should have some knowledge about those antimicrobial herbs. It is, if you live in an area where there's lots of tick bites, it is good to have tincture ready just in case. Just in case there is a bite and you don't have intermediate access, especially in times like spring when they become really active. Some areas, we here in South Coast, we just have so many ticks. It happens constantly. People get bitten.
Yeah, I got one here last week. Just going to the clothesline. Oh dear. And have you ever seen any connection with something like a gallbladder removal and a dormant Lyme situation being activated? Like not having concentrated bile to assist with detox being a trigger for Lyme to take over?
Yeah, look, anything can, any surgery, any emotional trauma, anything that suppress immune function or body function can be a trigger to Lyme disease. Usually generally people are fine with gallbladder removal, but I bet for the person who had this scenario, they already had quite a lot on their plate, and that was a big tipping point. And yeah, definitely after gallbladder removal, there will be problem with bile flow, and it needs different diet, and there is a possibility of infection during a surgery. So it's a small operation, but definitely significant to our health.
Awesome. And I think the last one we've got in here right now is, what would your recommendations to help people who experience nausea along with their Lyme picture?
So the simplest herb is ginger. It can calm down nausea. However, it's again comes down to looking why there is nausea. Often nausea is associated with digestive dysfunction. So if there are, or liver health, that's also very common. So if liver is overburdened and it's not able to break down toxins, there will be that nausea, brain fog, heaviness, this type of picture. Then to help that, needs to remove toxic load, decrease toxic load through the detoxification, support liver, and the nausea will stabilize itself. If nausea is due to pathogens, opportunistic pathogens in digestive system, parasites or SIBO often gives nausea, then that needs to be dealt with accordingly. But again, my first go-to herb would be ginger with maybe some peppermint tea, just to calm down that initial response.
Awesome. Well, that's the end of our immediate questions, and we've got about 5 minutes left of our hour. I've just handed co-host over to Marie because I've got a storm hitting as well, like Britt. I'm just a bit north of you, but I can see you're getting closer and closer through my window. So
it's already left here. It's come your way now.
So, well, hopefully it won't be bad and kick me out. I'm rural, like a regional like Dobrusia, so we often get wild weather here and power outages. Any other final questions before we complete?
I had somebody ask online if it's possible to contact you directly.
Yeah, so there are, you mean in terms of questions?
That was what she was wanting, but, and I mean, we understand that that's going to be awkward for you because you can't be answering lots of questions from individuals. Not going to be possible. No. So, but possibly she'd want to know how to have a consultation with you.
So having consultation, it's you can have a consultation with me through booking via my website.
And Dobrusia, that website's on the Ask the Naturopath page on our website.
Yeah.
So thanks to Britt.
Yeah.
Who's got that handle. So you can click there, and everybody knows that's not what this is about, but this could be the perfect match for you as well. So that is available to you. And if you can't attend an evening, you can email a question and we'll make sure that I'll do my best with my broken brain to remember. Send it to Marie.
And the only other question is, oh God, it's gone. I knew that would happen.
Broken brain.
Exactly.
Contagious.
Happens to all of us. Oh, yeah.
It's gone. Can't be important.
Oh, well, it can go on the question list for next month. And this is a thank you for everybody's forgiveness and patience with any teething things that we had doing this for the first time. But
I know what it was.
Wow.
Oh, Marie.
How do people access the recording of this session?
It will be probably on the website and YouTube. Would that be correct, Britt? You can just message me if you like. Yes. So you can look on the Ask the Naturopath page on our website, and it'll also be on our YouTube channel. And I'll set a what do you call it? Playlist for the Ask the Naturopath, and give me a few days because I don't have very good internet. I have to remember the last thing at night to download things, and before everybody else wakes up, I have 3 teens that hog the internet, so I have to do it before they wake up. But God bless you, Dobrusia. This is a fantastic first start, and it's really hitting the mark for a huge need in Australia. And thank you for, I mean, it was all your idea. It's been long wished for by us, but thank you very much.
My pleasure, Sharon. Thanks so much for hosting that. Thank you for your time and thank you for your dedication. It's we all on the same boat.
Yeah, exactly. Somebody saying something?
Hi, Bella.
Yeah. Bella just said thank you very much. She really appreciated all the information.
Thank you, Bella. Thanks for being here. So everybody, will see you in probably 3 weeks, and it'll be a daytime time slot for that one. So because we're a week late this time. And thank you for all our inaugural attendees. We appreciate you. And I do want to say, we do know how hard it is. And outside of offering services like this, we're working really hard behind the scenes with some key initiatives to keep fighting our fight. And we won't stop. So the only way they win is if we quit. Thanks, everybody.
Thank
See
you.
you in 3 weeks.
Thank you,
See you.
Dobrusia.
Good night.
Evening. My pleasure. See you, everyone. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Dobrusia. Bye.
Bye.